Joe Franks, the Executive Secretary and Clinic Director for the North Carolina Coaches Association, joining us here. Joe, this is always a busy time of year for you guys in Greensboro at the Coaches Association, getting ready for Clinic Week and All-Star games in basketball and soccer. The games are on Monday and Tuesday. The clinic is a little bit longer. Tell us what's going on in Greensboro next week.
Well, a lot of prep right now, Nick. As we're filming this, we'll be through Tuesday of the clinic. So we'll have one more day. We've got Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, July 21, 22, 23. I mean, it is a full slate for high school coaches, for middle school coaches. We really ought to call this a convention or an exhibition. Because what we have is not just a coaching clinic. We've got athletic injury management sessions. We've got CPR sessions for coaches that are available. We do sessions with the High School Athletic Association and the Athletic Directors Association. So it is a comprehensive, what I would call, a clinic or convention. We just call it the coaching clinic, but it really is a lot more than that.
Yeah, I've been there for the trade show part of it before for several years. We were there, and it's kind of crazy to see all of these coaches coming in, and you see their shirts from literally every corner of the state. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's we've got, everybody loves to say in North Carolina we have people coming from Murphy to Manteo, and it's the truth. I mean, we've got. We'll have coaches coming from all over the state come to Greensboro, maybe spend a night or two, and really enjoy and take advantage of the sessions that we're going to offer, because we think we've got some really quality instructional opportunities.
I want to come back to the clinic. I know there'll be coaches watching this who have a lot of interest in that, but I think most people watching probably are going to be general public, right? And they're going to be more interested in the All-Star games that are happening on Monday. Monday will be the basketball game, 6:30 girls, about 8:30 or so for the boys at the Greensboro Coliseum Fieldhouse. And then the soccer games, also 6:30 and 8:30, will be at Grimsley on Tuesday. Just give us an idea about what goes into the planning of these games and how the coaches are selected, how they select the players, that whole process.
Well, the bottom line is this is our 77th year for coaching clinics and for all-star games. That's absolutely amazing. The planning for next year starts with our board of directors meeting this coming Sunday. So the Sunday before the clinic, we have a board meeting and we select all-star coaches for the following year. So obviously, with our football game in December, those coaches were selected last summer. All right. So the 2025 coaches were selected last summer. So our board of directors, they get together, they divide up with East and West. They get ideas from their constituents and people saying, I think this guy or this lady be a great all-star coach. And so, all these things are discussed. And every year we come up with a slate of coaches that we'll have for the next year. What you have when the coaches are selected, then those coaches, the head coach and the assistant coach, or if you have, like in soccer, you've got one coach. In basketball, you have two per sport. And then in football, you've got 5 head coaches and you've got a career assistant. They will get together either by Zoom or in this office, and they'll talk about the talent that's across North Carolina. What happens, Nick, is that the individual coaches from the schools that are members of the association nominate their players. Of course, they could nominate somebody from another school as well if they chose. But we get nominations, and then those nominations are given to the coaches that are selected to coach in the game. And that's how they come up with the rosters for the game. That's how it happens.
There's always players, that whether it's because they go to college and they have to take care of things there, or they might have an injury or whatever, they're not able to play. I know there's been some announcements over the last couple of weeks about players who are going to be replacing others. How is that? How are those players picked? Are they picked ahead of time, or is that like an as needed thing?
There are some that depending on how the coaches for the different sports want to do that, they may have some people, okay, these are the ones we selected, and these are ones that were really considered, and we'd like to keep them maybe on tap if necessary. Nick, when it gets down to a week before the game or something and someone gets injured and then they can't come, then what normally what you'll do is the head coach and the assistant coach of that all-star team will get together and they'll think about, okay, is there somebody in an area that we didn't, maybe we didn't think about, or can we call someone, and maybe they've got a player that would be a great fit, you know. It's amazing. Historically, remember we used to play the football game in the summer, right?
Hmm?
In the past 2 years in December. We've had replacement players that I can remember from years ago, replacement players that come and they're the most outstanding player in the game. They're excited to be here. It's an opportunity. And that's really a cool thing that has happened and can happen again. You could have a replacement player that comes in, does a great job, makes a name for themselves, and they become an MVP of an all-star game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see some pretty cool performances, out there, especially the basketball game. There's always somebody that kind of goes off that you don't really necessarily expect. And maybe it's from a smaller school that doesn't get as much attention. You never know. That brings me to another question though. Is there I actually don't even know the answer to this, and I've never even asked this question. So I'm glad we're going to have this conversation. Is there consideration given, like, from the board of directors or from the coaches association, like, hey, if you're the head coach in the triangle, we don't want you to pick everybody from the triangle, we want you to pick all of eastern North Carolina, or big schools and little schools. Is that something that people keep in mind?
Those things, yes, those things are discussed about. Let's spread. If we can, it's not a county or a district all-star game. It's for the entire state, and yeah, there's discussion about that, and I think our coaches do a really really good job of really blending. Now it's going to be 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. In the past, a good blend of you might have some 1A or 2A players, and you might 3A and 4A players, and these people come together, and it's in a very short time. But you've seen in the All-Star games, there's some really good performances, and a lot of fun for these athletes to take advantage of it. Yeah.
And if people are mad that their kid did not get picked, you can email Joe Franks and his email
Uh,
address.
the bottom line, hey, with only X number of spots available on every
Yep.
roster, whether it's a basketball roster, whether it's a soccer roster, whether it's a football roster. Not everybody is going to be selected. That some people, and even on social media, why didn't they get? Well, guess what? They might have gotten selected, but they have a conflict. You talked about big kids going to college, right? And sometimes, particularly in these summer games, basketball in particular, when we had football, some of these players are already in summer school, and sometimes the college coach is reluctant to let them play in an all-star game when they've got summer workouts at that school, and they're trying to build their team cohesion and camaraderie. So we found that sometimes the people that go early, they go to summer school. Sometimes they're able to play and sometimes they're not, but you know what that does? That gives an opportunity for another young woman or another young man to come in and play in the East West All Star game.
Yeah, and if you've never been, I recommend it. You can get tickets. We got the QR code up right now. It'll take you to the website where you can get tickets. Eastwestallstars.com is the website. And I know the tickets are different. Like at the Coliseum, you got to use Ticketmaster, and it's different for soccer.
We use GoFan
Yeah,
for
go fan.
and that they've been good, but it's just you, 2 years ago. Well, I guess it was last year. Was the first year that we moved from the big arena to the field house. Where the NBA G League team plays, the Swarm. And boy, I'm gonna tell you what, how cool was that to have a packed house, and I mean people right on the daggum floor. And I think the kids really enjoyed it. It was a very very festive atmosphere and a lot of excitement. So we're hoping to carry that on this year again as we play in the field house at the Greensboro complex.
Yeah, and again, if you want tickets, you can go to eastwestallstars.com. Now, the other part of this week is the coaches clinic. And there's for people who don't know, I know the coaches in North Carolina all know what the Coaches Association does, but people watching who may not be coaches, um, give them a quick brief on what you guys do at the NCCA.
Well, we provide and put on it. It's a comprehensive all what we consider all sports clinic. It's many sports. Some we don't have, but we've got, for example, on Monday you've got men's and women's basketball and wrestling. Okay, on Tuesday you've got track, you've got golf, we've got baseball. On Wednesday we've got softball, we've got football. I'm sure I mentioned soccer on Tuesday. There's so many things. Swimming. We have sessions on strength and conditioning and the mental game on Tuesday. I mean, it's a comprehensive coaching clinic, and we think it provides an awful lot for the coaches in our state. And we will have, last year we had over 7,200 paid registrants, with the coaching clinic. This year we're inching back up on pre-registrations. We're over 6,300 high school and middle school coaches pre-registered for the clinic this year, which is really, really cool. And we look back, COVID affected everybody, right? And our numbers even after COVID, first year after COVID, I'm looking at my little sheet right now, and we had 5,600 pre-registered in 2021. Well, now we're back up to 6,348 as we speak, and that's where we were, Nick, back in 2018.
Oh,
So
wow.
yes, we feel really good about our pre-registration numbers and think we're going to have a really really good turnout next week for the coaching clinic.
And the Coaches Association, it's a professional organization for coaches in North Carolina. Like they provide lots of education opportunities, right, for coaches.
No doubt about that. I mean, our big thing is our summer coaching clinic, which this will be the 77th year. We're super excited about that. So yeah, all of our efforts, to be honest with you, I'll start the week after the coaching clinic getting in touch with some college coaches to say, hey, look, I know we're a year out, but does this fit into your summer schedule with recruiting, with camps, and all that kind of stuff? So we're going to start trying to build our clinician base very, very quickly. We did that last year, as a matter of fact. I don't know if you realize that Division I football is going to be back at the coaching clinic this year for the first time since 2014.
That was going to
And
be one of my questions.
okay, so what happened years ago? The NCAA came out with a rule that said you could not have a Division I football staff, and it was exclusive to football. You couldn't have a Division I football staff at a coaching clinic that was associated with a high school all-star game. Well, guess what? Our high school all-star game, these kids have already graduated. All right. But that didn't matter to them. So the Division I code, the active Division I's couldn't come. So what we did is we got retired Division I coaches. We got some retired people that had been in the professional ranks. We got high school coaches. We had different divisions. Really, it was the restrictions were on Division I. And so last year, um, we had a guy who had been at many different schools. He like a high school relations guy from Virginia Tech. He came last year. He said, he came up to me and we talked a little bit at registration. He said, Joe, he said, it's been years since I've been here. He said, how do we get Virginia Tech to get back here? And I said, let me tell you something. You commit right now that you'll be there, and Virginia Tech is going to be our staff for next year. So, I've had questions from people that say, well, you've got all these, you got new coaches in North Carolina and this, that, and the other. Well, I understand that. But Virginia Tech reached out to us personally last summer, okay, and wanted to be here. So we're going to have Fontel Mines, the assistant head coach and wide receivers coach. We got Matt Moore, who's going to be he's the offensive line coach. And we got Stu Holt, whose dad coached here, BW Holt coached here at Starmount for years and years. And Stu is from here. He's the special teams coordinator and he's an offensive assistant. And he's going to be with us. So we're excited. And I'll tell you something else. For so many years, if you go back 20 years on a Wednesday, on a football Wednesday, you had the Big Four, you had Tennessee, you had Clemson represented, you had South Carolina was represented, you had Virginia Tech was represented. And then when all this other stuff started happening and you couldn't come to clinics, okay, then that kind of phased off a little bit. All right. And so we didn't have the Division Ones walking around, but we had folks, D2s and D3 staffs were walking around, the interacting with the coaches. Just think about it. You're here on a Wednesday and you got hundreds of high school football coaches. You can see a bunch of people in one day. So I'm excited that NC State has already reached out and they plan to have a contingent at the clinic next week on Wednesday. And I'm sure they'll be wearing their red and white, really proud. Fayetteville State is going to bring their staff, and we've got a few more. I've got a feeling that, we're going to see some more coaches come and walk around in the lobby, walk around in the trade show, interact with our high school coaches. And I think that'll be great. We're looking forward to having that come back. But hey, look, the first one that comes up and starts saying, hey, Joe, how can we be there in 2026? Come talk to me at registration.
Maybe Bill Belichick will show up.
Who knows? I mean, you got new staff at Chapel Hill, you got new staff at Wake. We know that Coach Diaz, we reached out to him, but it didn't work for last year. But and Coach Doran has been here before, and I think and Henry Trevathan is their high school relations guy, and I've known Henry and his father, who was at NC State for many, many years. And they used to come to clinic all the time. And so, we're tickled. Henry called and said, Joe, we want to come. We want to be there on Wednesday. And we're excited about that. And we hope that some more staffs will either reach out to us or just come on and register. That'd be great.
Henry, a former high school coach here in North Carolina as well.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to get the message out to coaches about the clinic before they show up next week?
I think the bottom line is anybody that's ever been to the coaching clinic knows that Monday is tremendously hectic. Our registration at the Greensboro complex and First Horizon Coliseum, our registration opens at 8 o'clock a.m. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. We go 8 to 12. Then we close for lunch. We reopen at 2 and close at 3:30. And then, as you know, because you've been there, every member and associate needs to get a new picture every year. That's back in the trade show area. So, early on, it's very, very crowded. Monday morning, very early. Nick, we'll have people. We open at 8 o'clock. I'll have people at 6:45 standing in line outside, waiting to get in so they can beat some of these lines. But if people wait a little bit, hey, maybe you're a baseball coach or and your schedule doesn't start till Tuesday. Well, come Monday afternoon because the lines are down and it's so much easier. I think when you look at who we've got coming, everybody loves to talk about the big sports, but I'm excited. I mean, we've got Pitt is going to be represented in volleyball. Final Four, big time, boom, boom. Hey, 2 years ago, we had Louisville. This year we got Pitt. We had Carolina last year, all NCAA teams, and Louisville and Pitt, Final Four teams. We got John Howell is coming from Emory, Division III swimming. But hey, He's had 4 NCAA championships. I mean, that is unbelievable. I've got Terrence Trammell coming from A&T, who's an assistant coach, but he's a 2-time silver medalist at the Olympics, and he's a gold medalist in the World University Games. What an opportunity for our high school coaches and our middle school coaches to come and to listen to these folks. You know, women's basketball. Okay, I got Sean Poppy coming from Clemson, but Sean was at Chattanooga the year before. He was the SoCon Coach of the Year. Well, Trina Patterson from UNCG, she was Coach of the Year this year. Got both of them. Poppy's in the morning and Patterson's in the afternoon. So, you know, I'm tickled about that. I think Dustin Kearns, who's done a fantastic job at App State, is going to be our clinician in the morning for men's basketball. Then I got a guy coming from Arizona named Tyler Costin, who has developed a basketball system, and he's a fantastic clinician. We've heard great things. He's going to be with us on Monday afternoon. So that's just a sampling of what we've got going on and the opportunities that we have here in Greensboro during the North Carolina Coaching Clinic.
Yeah, I'm excited to be there for the games on Monday and Tuesday. Always a fun time to be there. And I know there'll be a lot of learning going on for the coaches during the day. So, again, if you want to get tickets to the games, it's eastwestallstars.com. And looking forward to it. Should be fun. Joe, appreciate you jumping on and talking to us about clinic and all-star games. And we'll look forward to seeing you in Greensboro next week.
Nick, thank you for everything you do for high school athletics in North Carolina. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Joe.